The Osmo Pocket 3 has to have been one of the most hyped cameras in 2023, and even now, halfway into 2024, it is still one of the most sought after cameras, and it was even out of stock for quite a while, a few months back I think, or like towards the beginning of the year. Most people love it, myself included, but is it without fault? In this video I'm going to share my entire experience using the Osmo Pocket 3 over the past 10 months, and trust me, I have used it a lot. So I'm going to tell you what I absolutely love about it, and one thing that you can probably guess what it is something that I hope the Pocket 4 has. And so stick around if you're considering buying the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, or if you already have it and you're just getting to grips with using it. So the first obvious thing that still amazes me about this camera is the video and image quality. It really doesn't matter what lighting conditions you're in, whether it's bright, whether it's overcast, whether it's low light. And honestly, in low light situations, I'm still blown away every time I see the footage. And that doesn't matter if you're shooting in the normal color profile with just the normal video mode, or if you switch it into the low light video mode, which kind of processes the footage a bit more. But either way, however you shoot in low light, the footage just looks incredible.
Is interested in what you're filming.
I review camera gear, so I just go out and test cameras and just go and film in various different places, just getting footage. And yeah, the normal colour profile looks great, and if you shoot in D-Log M, then it's pretty straightforward to colour grade the footage, and it looks really good when you do. Obviously this is going to depend on the style that you go for, but everyone has their own way of colour grading. The way that I've been using has been to use film convert nitrate, because I've been using it for years. A few kids screaming over there, I don't know if you can hear them. But yeah, I've been using film convert for years, and there are two plugins in particular that are part of my whole grading process. The first one is CineMatch, and that just basically allows me to match camera sensors. So if I'm shooting on my Osmo Pocket 3, and I film also on my Sony a7S III as well, so if one's the A camera, well, the Sony's the A camera and then the Pocket 3 is the B camera, then I can shoot in log on both cameras and then just match up the footage, which is great because I get that seamless look across the two. And then the second plugin is Film Convert Nitrate, and that's what I actually use for colour grading the footage itself. It's really easy to use, and if you don't know what Film Convert Nitrate is, it's a film emulation suite, so you can choose loads of different film stocks and you can basically just get the look that you want, and it takes away that digital kind of look from your footage that you get when you film with digital cameras. And yeah, it's really beginner friendly. Like I said, I've been using it for years, and I can really get the specific look that I want and just make sure that my footage looks the same across both of the cameras as well. So it's a great plugin. I have dropped a link in the description along with a coupon code where you can get 10% off CineMatch and you can get 10% off Film Convert Nitrate. But you can also download a version where you can try it out and it will have a watermark on the footage, and there's no time limit whatsoever, so you can keep using it, get familiar with it before you actually go ahead and buy a license. So yeah, dropped a link in the description for that, and thanks to Film Convert for sponsoring this video.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's all right, no worries. There is one more thing that I will say about image quality though, and that's that if you shoot in auto exposure over manual exposure, then if you actually wanted to apply filters, then you could still do that in auto exposure anyway. And if you just want to get that natural looking motion blur for using the 180-degree shutter rule. So I've done that before and it's worked out well. And if you want to see a video about that, then I can do that if you let me know in the comments. So along with the awesome image quality is also really great audio quality, and that's whether you're shooting from the in-camera mics or if you're using the DJI mic 2. Straight from the camera speakers, it's usable without any external mic, but I always say to use an external mic anyway because the audio is even better. It's so much clearer using the DJI mic 2 when you're in a busy environment or when it's windy, even if there's a light breeze. One of the big pluses when it comes to the Pocket 3 and using an external mic is the direct Bluetooth connection that you're going to get when you use the DJI Mic 2 transmitter. So there's absolutely no need to plug in a receiver. The only time that you'd need to do that is if you were using a completely different mic, or if you wanted to use more than two transmitters, because you can only connect two transmitters via direct Bluetooth connection with the Pocket 3. But the other benefit to using the DJI Mic 2 transmitter as well is the fact that you can actually use it to start and stop recording, which I've been doing now because I kind of break up my segments into little clips so that I can organise my footage better. Instead of me reaching to press start and stop recording on the camera, then I can just press, I think it's the link button. I never know because I just do it automatically, but it's the link button, I believe, on the transmitter, and that'll start and stop recording for you, which is great. The other benefit of the Mic 2 transmitter is the fact that you can use it to record backup audio, and you don't have to keep starting and stopping the recording on the microphone itself, because you can go into the menu of the Pocket 3 and enable audio to video sync. So as soon as you press record on the Pocket 3, then it will also start recording internally to the Mic 2 transmitter, which is great. You've always got that backup audio file, which also sounds slightly better quality in some situations depending on the environment that you're in. But like I said, even when it's connected to the Pocket 3, the mic is connected to the Pocket 3 via Bluetooth connection, the audio quality sounds great, as you can hear now. And also, I forgot to say that the internal recording of the transmitter is 32-bit float, so you've got a really high quality file there as well, and it means that if you're in an environment where it's really loud and you're not sure whether the audio that you recorded into the camera from the mic is going to be clips, then at least you've got that audio file in 32-bit float. And again, you can enable that in the camera menu of the Pocket 3 to make sure that it's recording in 32-bit float. This next feature with the Pocket 3 is one of those ones that I was really excited to try out because I film by myself all the time, and so I just knew it was going to be incredibly useful for me. And because I film by myself all the time, I like to capture behind the scenes footage as well, and so that feature is the tracking feature. But not only is it perfect for when I'm filming myself, but also when shooting footage of, say, a landmark and I just want to get a smooth orbit or a panning shot, because you can basically set the frame up how you want with the dynamic framing, and then you can know that the object is going to remain exactly where you position it in the frame when you start moving around to capture that shot. You can also do this when trying to frame yourself, because with the default framing, you get this kind of large bit of space above your head. So to fix it, you can either use the dynamic framing, or you can set the face tracking on and then just reposition it using the joystick. And that's what I tend to do the majority of the time, and it's what I'm doing right now as well. So I've obviously got tracking on, as you can see, and I just kind of positioned it. I moved the joystick. So this is what it would have been when it's enabled, and then I just tilted the joystick down a bit so that I've got less of that headroom up there, so it just frames it a little bit better. I'm looking at the screen just so that I can see what I was doing. But there is one thing that I will say about the framing, about the tracking, and that is that sometimes it doesn't come out as smooth as I'd like, and it can be a bit abrupt and it can be a little bit jerky at times, but that can sometimes be due to how close or far from the camera I am. And as a tip, having the tracking on when you're quite close to the camera can often give it that jerky feel. So if I'm close to the camera at the moment, but if you're further away and you start moving around, you know, you can see it's pretty smooth. But if I get a little bit closer and then I start moving, it can look a little bit jerky at times. It'd be nice if there was a setting where you could set the speed or the smoothness of it. That'd be quite good. But it doesn't tend to happen if I'm walking and vlogging, for example. So this is now in the normal colour profile, and my EV meter is set to, oh, do you know what? Let me put the tracking on, seeing as I can do that now with being in the normal colour profile. And also, if I'm holding the Pocket 3 and I have tracking on, I tend to have it so that if my arm moves, then it's still keeping me where I want to be in the frame. And so if I do that, then the tracking is pretty much fine in that respect. But it does have its limits, which you need to be mindful of when moving around in the frame, because the gimbal doesn't swivel 360 degrees, so it is going to reach its limit at some point. So basically what I do for that is just figure out where I want to be in the scene, and then I'll just position the camera in a way that I know that if I walk from one edge to the other of the camera, then I'm going to still be in shot and it's not going to reach its limit. So it's just takes a little bit of figuring out, but it's very quick. But yeah, for me, behind the scenes and walking and talking shots, the Pocket 3 is just perfect for that. So with the battery life, it really depends on how you film, and for me, I film in one of two ways. I will shoot short clips where I'm talking to the camera and then I'll turn the camera off or stop recording rather. Otherwise, I film long continuous behind the scenes clips. So I'll just set the camera down and I'll just press record and I'll leave it. And I could be recording for up to 15-20 minutes for those clips. It really just depends. And so that is obviously going to depend on how quickly the battery is going to drain, as well as the camera settings that you use. So for me, I shoot exclusively, well not exclusively, but most of the time in 4K 25, and sometimes I shoot in 4K 60. So if I'm shooting my B-roll and I just want to make sure that my movement or the movement in the shot is steady, then I'll drop it down to 4K 60 so that I can slow down the footage afterwards. But the majority of the time it's 4K 25. So it's hard to quantify how long the battery lasts. But I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where it's completely depleted before I've actually gotten everything that I wanted to shoot in a day. And when it comes to charging, you can take advantage of the fast charge. So if it were to be completely depleted, then you can go from 0 to 80% in less than 20 minutes. I think it's like around 15-16 minutes. My battery was on 30% this morning, I think, and I put it on to fast charge, and I think within 10 minutes it was already charged more than 80%. So it works and it's really good and it's really handy because I wanted to come out really quickly and film today and not have to wait for ages for the battery to charge. So that's a great feature. And finally, this last point, even though I've become more comfortable filming in public, I still don't necessarily want to take a large camera out with me and draw more attention to myself than I already do. I mean, a lot of people have stopped and looked at me right now as I'm sat on the bench filming with my Pocket 3 in front of me, but I don't feel as uncomfortable with this than if I were to have my massive A7S III with a big microphone on top and all that. So having that small compactness of the camera, especially whilst out and about and walking, is very convenient. I'm not getting a dead arm from carrying a massive, huge camera either. So just being able to travel with it and just put it in a bag and not feel the weight is great. When I went to Dubai last year, I took the Pocket 3 with me because this was just before it was due to be released and I was trying to finish off the review for it. And I didn't take my A7S III, I just took the Pocket 3, my iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Osmo Action 4. And I honestly did not miss my A7S III because I had the Pocket 3 with me and also my iPhone 15 Pro Max when it shoots in ProRes log. The footage looks great. And so, yeah, I just don't feel like when I'm out and about and I'm travelling that I miss having that big setup, because the Pocket 3 and this just fills in that gap for it. So the downside, I'll be honest, I really struggle with this because for my use case, I haven't really found anything that has been a major downside. The only thing that I will say, which has happened to me a few times and almost stops me from coming out today actually, and has stopped me from continuing filming whilst I've been out in the past, is what you've probably guessed now, is the lack of weather sealing. Okay, I need to be quick now because it's just started raining. I really do pick the best days, don't I? And I'm not looking for this to be completely waterproof. It would just be nice if there was some kind of weather sealing just to protect it from even light rain, for example. That's it for me. I'm gonna have to stop because it's starting to get heavier now. It's so annoying. And I know some people go out and they use it, even if it starts raining, they'll continue filming, but I just don't want to risk it because there's just too many moving parts. And so just having some level of weather sealing would be great, because yeah, I have stopped so many times when it's been raining and had to switch over to a different camera. And in that case, something like the Action 4 has been great because I can just keep filming with that. So this camera, I feel like it's pretty much anyone can use this camera. I feel like it's for a lot of people, the majority of people, but there are probably two types of people that I would say there are better alternatives to this. And in one instance, I would say myself. So if I'm going out and I'm on holiday with my kids and they want to, I say they, probably more so the older one, she's still little, but the older one, if she wants to take my camera and she wants to film, I get very nervous to give her the Pocket 3, because even though I know she's going to be careful, when you get a little kid with their little excited hands, the potential of dropping the Pocket 3 just makes me, yeah, I just don't, it would probably break. Whereas if I had something like the Action 4, I'll quite happily give it to her and not worry. I won't be looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes to make sure that, you know, everything is okay with the camera. So I think if you're going to be doing a lot of family trips and you want to hand over the camera to a small child, then the Pocket 3 is probably not the one to go for. And also, if you do a lot of travelling and you want to film a lot on the beach or you want to film a lot by the pool, then I would definitely say that the Pocket 3 is not the best one to go for. And if you have the budget to have something like the Pocket 3 and the Action 4 at the same time, then that's a great combination. But if you're just looking for this one camera and you only have the budget for one camera, then I would say that in that instance the Pocket 3 is probably not for you. So yeah, if any of those situations in a nutshell are you, then I would be more inclined to go for something like the Osmo Action 4, and I've put together a pretty in-depth comparison between the Osmo Action 4 and the Pocket 3, so that's worth checking out. And also a comparison between the Osmo Pocket 3 and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But yeah, anyway, don't forget to check out Film Convert Nitrate. I've dropped links in the description along with the coupon code to give you 10% off Cinematch and also 10% off Film Convert Nitrate. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.